Want to run farther without feeling like you're about to collapse? Here's the thing. You may only need a tweak or two to your technique and mindset to achieve those longer distances. Over the years, I've learned that sustainable progress comes from combining small changes to how we think and how we train. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 changes that made a world of difference for me. These 5 changes mix mental strategy with practical planning. I'm Ryan Young from runwithryan.org. Ultra runner, model, and men's lifestyle creator. Over the years, I've made every mistake in the book, from pushing out too hard, to getting sidelined by injuries, to hitting mental walls that seemed impossible to break through. These lessons pushed me to look for a better way, one that blends science with experience. If you're ready to unlock longer runs and enjoy the process, let's start by tackling the biggest challenge most runners face. When I first started trying to run longer distances, I expected my body to be the limiting factor. But I quickly noticed often my mind would give up before my legs ever did. I remember one morning, determined to hit a new distance record. The weather was perfect. My training had been consistent, and physically, I felt ready. But halfway through, a wave of doubt hit. Suddenly, every step felt heavier, and my thoughts turned negative. What if I can't make it? Am I taking on too much? That voice grew louder and louder until I finally stopped. Not because my body couldn't go on, but because my mind convinced me to quit. That moment stuck with me, and it forced me to ask, what if the real wall isn't physical at all? This question sent me searching for answers. I started reading about how elite athletes prepare for the mental side of endurance. What I found was that the best runners use specific mental tools, backed by research, to stay focused and push through those tough moments. And one of the most effective strategies is visualization. I know what you're thinking. Positive thinking. No. What I'm referring to is mental rehearsing the run before we even lace up our shoes. Research shows that imagining ourselves running strong actually activates the same neural pathways in our brain as physically practicing the activity. This mental preparation can make our brain feel more ready and confident, reducing anxiety for when we hit a tough patch. I began putting this into practice. When I first started, I'd visualize more generic everyday runs while I spent a few minutes meditating. But then I started using the technique before more challenging endeavors. I'd imagine my feet hitting the ground, the rhythm of my breath, and even the satisfaction of crossing the finish line. The more detailed I got, the better it felt. I specifically remember taking a few minutes just before the start of a 100-mile race through frigid Alaska wilderness to run myself through the race. No doubt spending this time to mentally prepare helped carry me through that run with success. When I faced similar waves of doubt mid-run, I noticed the doubt was quieter, subtler than before. It was as if my mind had already experienced this moment and knew how to handle it. Another tool that changed my approach is self-talk. It's easy for our thoughts to spiral when things get hard. This hurts. I'm not cut out for this. You know the thoughts I'm talking about. But instead of letting those thoughts take over, I've learned to replace them with specific, positive affirmations. I've trained for this mile. I can handle this stretch. With positive self-talk, we're not ignoring the discomfort. We're reminding ourselves that we're prepared. And the research, it backs this up. When runners consciously swap out "I can't" with "I can handle this," it actually reduces the sense of effort and helps keep us going. Don't mistake me, running isn't just about pushing through pain. There's another side to it, a kind of mental calm that comes from the repetitive motion and steady rhythm of our feet making contact with the ground while we continue to move forward. I've noticed on my long runs, once I get past that initial struggle, something shifts. The noise in my head fades, and I begin to settle into a flow. That flow feeling, it's not just in our imaginations. Studies show that running triggers the release of endorphins, and more importantly, endocannabinoids, natural chemicals that cross the blood-brain barrier and create a sense of calm and clarity. That's the real science behind runner's high. It's a state where anxiety drops away and you feel more focused, even euphoric. Some of my clearest thinking and best ideas have come from these stretches when my mind is quiet and my body is moving. I like to say it's a state during which I'm both completely aware of my surroundings. I know what's going on around me. Yet I'm completely at peace, experiencing Zen, meditating almost, while floating through a run. If you'd like to explore more of what this flow state is, and even try efficient ways to easily tap into it, check out the full video right here. I'm going to put it up here in a card. Flow, positive self-talk, visualization. What's interesting is how these mental shifts during running start to show up in other places of life once we start practicing them. If we train ourselves to push through self-doubt and discomfort on the road or on the trail, we'll start to notice the same resilience in our work, our relationships, and our personal goals. It's as if every time we overcome a mental wall while running, we're teaching our brains how to handle challenges everywhere else. But mental strength alone isn't enough. No matter how prepared our mind is, we need a plan that lets the body adapt without burning out. Trust me, I've learned this the hard way, pushing too fast, too soon, and ending up sidelined. It's something most all of us have experienced, right? The key to planning is pairing mental strategies with a gradual, structured approach to increasing our distance. There's a simple research-backed rule that changed everything for me and helped me stay injury-free while building up my mileage and endurance. Let's talk about what actually works when it comes to running further, and why the way we increase distance can make all the difference. One of the best ways to keep running longer without setbacks is the 10% rule. The simple guideline has kept me moving forward while avoiding the kinds of injuries that can stop us in our tracks. The idea is straightforward. Increase the total mileage by no more than 10% from the previous week. For example, if we run 20 miles this week, next week we'd aim for 22 miles. Not 30. Going from 20 to 22 is less shocking to our system than a big leap, and it keeps us running healthy. It might feel like a slow climb, but it's a pace that the body can actually handle. I used to think that more was always better. I have a tendency to go big or go home, and I'd get impatient with gradual progress. But research backs up the wisdom of this steady approach. Here's the thing, most running injuries happen when runners amp up mileage too quickly. The body, especially joints, tendons, and bones, needs time to adjust to new demands. Ignoring this can lead to problems like runner's knee and shin splints, which can take weeks to heal and set our progress back. When I'd let impatience win, I'd often get myself sidelined, frustrated, wishing I'd stuck to the plan. What's helpful about the 10% rule is that it gives us a framework for progress that feels manageable, during which the body quietly adapts. The real reward ends up being the consistency we build up over time. It's also important to remember that the 10% rule, it's not a rigid mandate. Everybody's body adapts differently. If you're newer to running or coming back from a break, err on the side of caution. More experienced runners might handle a bit more, but even then, pushing too fast is risky. The research is clear. Runners who exceed that 10% increase are more likely to end up with overuse injuries. And it's not just about muscles. Ligaments and cartilage take longer to strengthen, and they're often the first to protest when we do too much, too soon. One mistake I used to make was trying to build distance and speed at the same time. It's tempting to want to run farther, faster, but the body can only handle so much. Pick one or the other to focus on. If adding mileage, keep the pace comfortable and resist the urge to chase personal bests. Attempting both at once is a quick route to burnout and injury. I've learned that focusing on one variable, either distance or intensity, lets the body, the mind, adapt and actually enjoy the process. Another key piece I wish I knew earlier was the value of recovery weeks. Every 3 or 4 weeks, plan for a down week, where we cut our mileage by about 20 to 25% and focus more on easy runs. This isn't a setback. It's a way for the muscles, the joints, and connective tissues to catch up and regrow. When I started building these into my routine, I noticed not only fewer aches and pains, but also better energy and motivation for the next phase of my training. It's like giving the body a chance to absorb all the work put in, instead of constantly piling on more and more. The 10% rule, combined with regular recovery weeks, turned my running into something I look forward to, rather than something I might dread. It's a way to make progress sustainable and keep injuries at bay. I used to think missing a day or dialing back was a sign of weakness, but now I see it as a smart investment in my long-term growth. Still, I've realized that safe mileage increases are only part of the story. There's another side to running farther that doesn't involve running at all. It took some hard lessons for me to see just how much strength training and recovery matter for endurance and performance. Building real endurance is not about stacking on more and more miles. It's about supporting our bodies with a proper foundation. Strength training and recovery are often overlooked, but in my opinion, they're the secret sauce that allows us to keep making progress without setbacks. I remember reading that most running injuries come not from running itself, but from weaknesses and imbalances that build up over time. That stuck with me, and it changed how I approach my training entirely. When I first started running in my early 30s, I became obsessed. I quickly abandoned my lift workouts, the cycling I enjoyed, and even my twice-a-week yoga sessions. A body like mine quickly became rail thin, shedding whatever mass I had on me. One particular friend lovingly started referring to me as the bobblehead. But listen, he wasn't wrong. I was losing weight through running while also becoming physically weaker. From that point on, every run I did, I'd make sure I got in a lift session to counterbalance. And I'm not recommending that for everybody, but what I am recommending is adding 2 to 3 sessions a week, just 15 to 20 minutes each, focusing on body weight or resistance exercises. These short workouts can make a huge difference. Planks, squats, lunges, and deadlifts are at the core of this routine. Planks and other core exercises help us maintain good posture, especially when fatigue sets in late in a run. Squats, lunges, and deadlifts strengthen legs and hips, which improves running economy and helps joints absorb the repetitive impact of a run. When I started prioritizing these movements, I noticed my stride felt more stable and my form held up even on the tougher days. It's less about lifting heavy or spending hours in the gym and more about the consistency of these targeted sessions. That's what matters. Hill sprints are another tool I've come to rely on. Just a few short, hard efforts up a steep hill once a week can build leg strength and power, making flat running feel easier by comparison. It's tough, yes, but it's also a simple addition to training that pays off quickly. But running and getting ourselves to the gym, it's only half the equation. Recovery is just as essential, and it's an area I used to ignore until my body forced me to pay attention. I learned that most of the gains from training actually happen when we're not running. Every hard workout creates tiny tears in the muscles and puts stress on the joints. Recovery is when the body repairs those tissues and adapts, making us stronger for the next time we head out. And nutrition is a big part of the recovery process. Research shows that eating a snack with both protein and carbohydrates within 30 to 60 minutes after a run helps muscles repair and replenishes glycogen stores. I try to keep it simple, something like a banana with peanut butter or a protein shake right after I finish. I also make time for a cool down and some dynamic stretching, usually about 15 to 30 minutes, to help my muscles transition from work to rest. In fact, some days I'll spend up to 30 minutes post-run to stretch and then lay into a meditative state, giving both my mind and my body quality time to begin the recovery process. These small habits have become routine for me, and I definitely notice when I skip them. Hydration? Yeah, it's another place I used to underestimate. The guideline I follow now is to drink about 8 ounces every 15 to 20 minutes during long runs, or roughly 24 to 32 ounces per hour. Side note, many days along with staying hydrated, I'll pop a salt capsule. I'm a salty runner, so having water with added electrolytes and the salt capsule help me prevent cramps while keeping my energy steady, especially on warmer days. Maybe get into the habit of carrying a water bottle and sipping throughout the day, not just before or after a run. It's a simple fix, but one that can make recovery feel smoother and easier. Active recovery has also become a regular part of my week. What is active recovery? Well, it's kind of exactly what it sounds like. We're active, but doing an activity that is much less intense than our focused runs or training sessions. On days after a hard run, I'll go for a walk or do some gentle yoga. I'll spend time with a foam roller These low-effort activities help with circulation and keep my legs from feeling heavy and stiff. I used to think that rest meant doing nothing, but now I value gentle movement because it actually speeds up recovery. The most overlooked tool though, it's sleep. I've noticed that when I'm not sleeping well, even easy runs can feel like a struggle. My body and my mind seem to slug. Getting enough rest at night is what lets the body rebuild and recharge. Now if I'm dragging myself through a workout, I ask myself if I need more sleep before changing anything else. The answer? It's usually yeah, I could use more sleep. Balancing strength, recovery, and running has become my formula for steady progress. Gradual mileage increases, strength training, and mental preparation. These are proven ways to run farther while avoiding injuries. I know, it's not always easy to make time for everything, but I've seen firsthand how these habits can work together to create a sustainable mileage increase. If you're looking to run farther and feel better doing it, try adding just one of the strategies we've talked about today. See how the body responds, and see if you can spot the difference in your next run. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you changed and how it feels. I'd love to hear. And sharing your experience helps us all learn and helps us all grow. Again, the real secret isn't just getting in mileage. It's in the way we approach the entire process. Shifting our mindset, testing the 10% rule, or leaning into a new recovery habit. These are the tools that get us to those longer distances. Combining our mindset with planning and recovery, it's the rocket fuel to achieving our greatest potentials. If you found these tips helpful and want more tips and suggestions, not just on running, but on all things travel and adventure, health and wellness, and even some men's style, please consider joining the Luxury of Adventure Premium Club on runwithryan.org. All my videos get posted there first. Joining would be an incredible way to show your support. Thank you. Or please consider subscribing here on YouTube so you never miss the next video. Tap that button down below and go ahead. Turn on the notifications. I know. You're probably incredibly psyched to get out and run using the new tools we've covered. But if you'd like to hang back and learn more about fun and efficient ways to recover, go ahead and check out the video right here. Again, thank you so much for jumping into this with me today. Enjoy your next run. Reach for that longer distance. And I'll see you back here again soon.